But a lot of the drama this week is that Wizards is launching a lot of product right now, right? Between Commander sets, 2 a year. We're now getting confirmed, I believe, 2 draftable formats this year, not to mention mystery boosties. You're getting just secret layers monthly on top of the regular set releases, on top of premium versions of those set releases. So like if I want the really cool Ikoria lands, that's a whole other level of dollars I need to spend. And so you're getting this really like my old collection is being devalued at the same time that I have to try and keep up with the current release of product. That's I think where the blend is. And Wizards saying, not every product is for every player. Like that's kind of this big controversy that's going on right now in this world. And
the whole idea of $17 booster packs, just like not everybody has to buy them. But
the problem with that mentality, and I think this is the issue, is that these are for everyone, right? These are sets that most Magic players would want to buy, but are being priced out of. Right, that's I think a bigger issue. Not everyone wants the Godzilla promos. Fine, right? There are people I know that don't care about Godzilla. I don't really care about Godzilla. But like those lightning bolts, everyone wants.
They're cool. Yeah.
If you were to give any player those lightning bolts, they're in.
It's a good time for us to talk about secret layers. I mean, there was an announcement this week of brand new secret layers. And secret layer product, for those of you guys that are listening on audio that don't know, is something that Wizards started doing last year. But it was basically like, we're going to take these really, really cool cards that you guys like. We're going to make unique special versions, and we're going to sell them directly to you as kind of like almost like a subscription service, except you just choose the months you want to pay. So we'll have like a new cool product you guys can get monthly. If you want to buy it, we'll ship it straight to you. It doesn't go through stores. You don't have to worry about retail prices other than just exactly what we deem the retail price to be. And it was everything from like 4 uniquely, cool versions of Serum Visions to like all kinds of crazy looking unique goblin art on like, Bitter Blossom tokens, like really, really cool specific stuff. So today we had 5 more announced with art that look unbelievable.
As far as timing goes, last week for people that are watching this when it comes out.
Yes. And they're really, really cool. I can talk to you guys about kind of what they were. So there was 4 lightning bolts that look really, really awesome. There's a set called Heart of Steel where you get an Arcbound Ravager, a Darksteel Colossus, and a Walking Ballista. Very like cool robot looking art.
It's got like a Gundam and a Transformer and like a mech, like more Godzilla-esque robot fighting giant kaiju things.
There's like a set of 4 planeswalkers. We get Vraska, Golgari Queen, Temio Field Researcher, Domri Raid, and a Johnny Steadfast. Like very, very, looks like sort of comic booky.
They have new jobs. So it's the theme is that if these planeswalkers, instead of doing the thing they ended up doing, did something else. And so Johnny's an X-Man, Vraska is a beauty queen, Domri Raid is like a sheriff.
Yeah, there you go.
And then Tamio is a like detective. And those are really cool. They actually used cosplayers who they like dressed up as those artwork that they got like early previews art to preview the cards and do like full costume versions of the card art in those kind of alternative things. So like Olivia and Tappy and more.
And then finally, the last couple, we have the set of like tattoo looking art for modern cards. It looks like where you got a Spell Pierce, Eternal Witness, Inkmoth Nexus, a Pithing Needle, and a Blood Artist. Very cool.
They're all tattoo puns. So like Inkmoth Nexus and Pithing Needle and
Blood
Pierce,
Artist.
Blood
Pierce.
Artist. Yeah. So that was
Eternal.
I don't love the art necessarily, but I get it. And there's people that will like, this is a product that isn't for everyone, right? Not everyone wants tattoo Americana artwork of these cards. Yes. But
they're all 24 hours only. The last one being ornithological status. You get a Gilded Goose, a Birds of Paradise, a Swan Song, a Baleful Strix, and a Dovescape. Very cool cards, all with really, really unique, very cool looking bird art.
So the winner of the Spiel, which is like Game of the Year for tabletop games, was a Wingspan, which is like a bird themed. You're like,
That's the one that's where you go and you study birds and you like.
And so it feels very much like a reference to Wingspan because it's like nice pictures of birds in Magic, and you get a
Michael loves that game and like told me all about it at Gen Con last year when we were there, and he was like, "You got to get this bird game," and I was like, "Dude, that's like." And he's like, I know it sounds nerdy, but it's the coolest game in the whole world.
It's interesting because you kind of are programming. It's like programming a machine. You like lay birds down, and then when you pick that thing, every bird happens. So it's cool, but I'm for those who don't know, trying to get Ben to play a new game is, I can't even get him to use Adobe Premiere versus iMovie.
Well, all right, so let's just for a second, let's talk about how we feel about Secret Lairs, because these are super cool looking, and I have really liked a lot of the old ones. But the bottom line is you can't buy these in a store. They're sold directly retail through the company to you as a consumer. And
the one that you could buy through a store, which is the Fetchland one, was extremely expensive, limited release, and felt more like the Commander Arsenal, a thing that no one bought. Like it's not meant for people. It's meant for speculators and collectors.
And so I think the idea is that, I've always said this. I like the idea of there being cool promos out there. I've always liked that. Unique art, huge fan of that. But if you start to sort of undercut the normal economy that we are used to with Magic, where you're introducing all these new products to the marketplace at the same time, it's going to screw things up. It's going to just screw up sort of the demand. It's going to screw up the way that I perceive cards. It'll screw up the way that I like my collection. When I open my binder and I'm like, oh, I have these cool cards that I own. Oh, well, there's been 3 more versions of this printed since I bought it. It's a little less cool than I used to think it was.
Okay, so there's 3 issues here, right? One on Secret Lairs, and this is a separate issue in general that we haven't gone through, and this is something just Wizards needs to either figure out or fix, is that because they're all foil and because of the way they manufacture them, they all bend like tacos.
Yeah,
or they're like Condom Pringles. So that's like a whole issue on its own that I don't want to get too far into. I wish these just weren't in foil, right? Like I think one of the coolest things about those Jace books and the Chandra book were that it just wasn't a foil set. So all of those cards, or it was Gideon and Jace so far, right? Jace and Gideon.
Right.
And so like one was foil, but the rest were non. And I love non-foil promos. I think that's really dope. And it's one of the reasons I like the Eldraine altered art stuff. So that's a different issue. I think that Wizards needs ways to reprint cards that don't affect their competitive play in a way and allows them to price them just directly. I think that's fine here. I think that the speed of how they sell these doesn't allow them to release at store level, though I do think that they should be able to allow people to buy subscription services for these and have just planned releases on them through stores. I think that it sucks that stores are being cut out, right? That sucks. But the world has been asking for Wizards to reprint cards, right? Every single day they want new Fetchlands. And Fetchlands are problematic because they're just so expensive. But there's a lot of cards in that world, and they've now reprinted some of them through these, right? You now can get a playset of Serum Visions pretty inexpensive. There was a point where that was a $20 common or uncommon.
Totally.
You can get Birds of Paradise, which I think was getting expensive. Even like these things coming out and actually having cool effects to them. Thalias, a playset of Thalias. Like all of these things I think are in general beneficial to keeping the price of cards down. And that's last week during the full episode, we talked about how rotation is affecting the price of cards and how that's problematic. I do think that Secret Lairs are a tool to be able to lower the price of cards in general. And people are pointing out, well, this Secret Lair came out, it didn't really affect the price of the cards. And yes and no. On one hand, yes, it didn't affect that card then. But if you look at Tarmogoyf and its printing through Modern Horizons, through Modern Master sets, it eventually went down. It just took a while for that to happen over multiple sets of it being printed.
But I think it also took the format shifting. It wasn't the card being available. It was the card being not as good as it used to be. That was what happened. It was, I think it was
$165. And then by the second Modern Horizons 2 came out, it was $100 and still a tier 1 card in the format.
It's what, 55 now?
Yes, but that's now because it's been reprinted 5 times, 6 times maybe, and is no longer a format defining staple. And a format that is not as popular as it was.
Yeah. So, all right. So I think that look, the Wizards it's their prerogative to make the decision to introduce cards to the marketplace, because ultimately right now we know mom and pop game stores are going to struggle. COVID has made a really, really, really tough economy for this. And it was already a pretty tough margin business. It's not like, a lot of comic book stores, for instance, do a lot of their business off of Magic cards. It's a very, very, you have to work really hard to make that business work. And I understand Wizards looking at that and going, we can't pump too much more stuff into this fragile business. So we have to come up with other ways to try to, make money off of our game, off of our product, which hopefully long-term supports the health of our game. I don't know. I hope it does. But ultimately, I like what they're putting in the marketplace. I like the cards. They look cool. I'm not offended by the prices.
I mean, I am. Like, that's the issue with this Fetchlands run, right? Like, it was so overpriced that it basically didn't exist. And that's, I think...
You're talking about specifically the Fetchland one.
Yeah, and I think I think if this is a tool to make cards less expensive, fine. Something that people always kind of misconstrue, and the problem with the reserve list in general conversation is the people you hurt when you get rid of the reserve list, or the people you hurt the most when you make prices no longer viable, are stores, right? That's the most significant person effect. Who cares about finance and TG finance? People, no one cares. There are people that lose money in their collection, but overall, most of those people probably gain it in other places. The market kind of tends to self-correct. It's the stores that are like, Magic cards are their stock, right? Like they have a warehouse filled with cards that they sell, and that warehouse is normally their back room or their countertop, but they still have hundreds of staples of each card or even tens of copies of each card that's a staple. And if they're holding a bunch of Tarmogoyfs and then they reprint it in a secret layer for $10, even now at $60, they get hurt. And the fact that they also don't sell it through those stores, I think is problematic. And I think the subscription service idea is the one that I've heard from people that is the most interesting to me. If I could pay my store $20, or I buy it through them, but then Wizards delivers it, because that's the other thing. The site that Wizards uses to deliver these products isn't that good.
It crashes like every time, it feels
right.
like.
So like if you were able to figure out a way to cut the stores in, I think that would be better. And just from the knowledge of like the cost, so the Kess website started selling some of our own product during COVID. We have these activity sets that you can buy product from, and in those we're learning the challenges of just selling direct to customer. And there are like the costs that normally is the margin that our retailers have are eaten up almost immediately by us trying to sell it ourselves. So Wizards is taking on those costs. They're taking the shipping costs. They're taking sales tax across the country. They're taking just the labor that it takes to do all this delivering that normally retailers would handle for them. So why aren't they just doing it through stores? I think that's kind of the sad part about them, though I do think they are a creative way to do reprints. Maybe they should just release them through stores.
I think that strikes me as the easiest way as well, is release them through stores.
Thank you so much for watching this hot take. My name is Alex Kessler. You can follow me on Kess Wiley. This is Ben Bateman. We do a podcast every single Friday called Masters of Modern, where we talk about modern and magic and all the things that are happening. Sometimes we talk about not modern, everything from gladiator magic to Pioneer to historic. Make sure to follow, subscribe, hit the bell. Please comment. I would love to hear what you guys would think is a solution to secret layers and how we can kind of handle it. And support your local game store. Honestly, more than anything, a lot of them are doing pickup stuff right now. It's, we're finally hitting the point where it's really sad to see some of these stores go out of business. They're huge parts of the community. And if you have a chance to go out and just order from them and do a pickup order, I think that is worth it. I know a lot of them are also taking pre-orders now, so if you want to just pre-order your box M21, that could also probably be a big assistance to them. So definitely look to support them, but safely. Obviously, don't wear a mask. Do wear a mask, and we'll see you guys next week.